All Blacks squad to play Ireland has been named. There's a few big omissions from the squad last year and a few guys who have been included for the first time. Some guys are also back in the mix. We'll go through the squad and if you guys are injured and whatnot, we'll kind of tick them off and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how you reckon they have picked. First impression is they have rewarded a few guys who've been in good form, which is kind of pleasing to see. There's been a few guys who've been knocking on the door for a wee while and get that reward, which is, like I said, kind of pleasing because sometimes it's frustrating when the coaches seem to have a favourite player which they never drop and then the informed guy just kind of keeps doing their thing and never gets the reward. So maybe we're getting out of that a little bit. But anyway, hookers, Coles, Taukei'aho and Taylor. The obvious omission there is Aumua, who's not played a heck of a lot of game time this year. He's kind of been in and out with injury, but I mean, you could argue the same with Coles. Coles is, I guess, banking a little bit more on his reputation, but I would say for mine, Taukei'aho, to be fair, is actually the form hooker. But 3 hookers rather than 4, I guess, because we're local. If anyone gets injured or COVID or something, we can just call somebody up. Props, Bauer, Laulala, Ross, Ta'avao, Tuinukuafe, and Tuungafasi. I was wondering with Tuinukuafe whether they would call him up because he is off to France at the end of the season, but they are still rewarding him with a call-up. Aidan Ross is the only new name to that lot, and to be fair for the Chiefs, he has been in really good form this season. Laulala's been having a cracking couple of weeks for the Blues as well. I mean, it's largely pretty steady as she goes. Joe Moody's not played much. He's been out the majority of the season injured. The couple of guys who are out from last year's squad will be Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax. I've been wondering about the Lomax one for a while because I personally never thought that he was quite at that level that he needs to be to play for the ABs. De Groot, though, I thought's been alright, so that's kind of it's a disappointing one for him, but with Tuinukuafe off, I'm sure his chance will come. The selectors kind of talked up about maybe the big physical nature of playing Ireland, so maybe that's where De Groot loses out to Tuinukuafe or perhaps somebody else. But anyway, that's your front rowers. Locks, Scotty Barrett, Lord, Retallick, Vaa'i, Whitelock. That's pretty much steady as she goes. I don't think there's any kind of dramatic changes there. That's kind of what we're used to. Everybody who is there has played for the All Blacks before. They're all fit. They're all available. Retallick's been coming into good form. Lord and Vaa'i, kind of young up-and-coming guys. Barrett, Whitelock, and Retallick are your established guys. And as I said, Retallick's been getting slowly better towards the tail end of the season, which is promising. Lucy, Sam Cane, and he is captain. Akira, Ioane, Papalii, Savea, Sotutu, and Sowakula. Sowakula is your new call-up. He's maybe an unfamiliar name. I mean, to be fair, he's been in really good form this season. And Ethan Blackadder is injured, so he's unavailable. So maybe he benefits a little bit there. Part of me also thinks, because remember, Sowakula is from Fiji. He's 27 years old. He's been in New Zealand for a long time, obviously. But I'm sure at 27 years old, if the All Blacks didn't call him soon, Fiji would come a call-in. So, that's not to say he hasn't been in good form. He's earned the spot for sure. But sometimes the All Blacks selectors make guys have more than just one really massive season before they select guys. So part of me is thinking that might have been like a factor in the back of their mind. You never know. Sotutu's come into good form. Savea's been incredible. Papalii has just had his appendix out, but he's been having a great season as well. Akira has only really played the latter end of the season, and then Sam Cane as captain was kind of steady as she goes. So I think you'd be pretty happy with the Lucies. The New Zealand public will obviously ask, is Sam Cane the best 7? I've already done a video comparing him to Dalton at one point, but you guys can kind of make your own minds up there. Halfbacks is where there's maybe the biggest changes. Christie, Fakatava, and Aaron Smith means no TJ and no Brad Weber, who are pretty much direct cuts. Fakatava's eligibility thing was kind of sorted out because remember he was eligible under the 3-year eligibility and then he got injured so he wasn't able to be selected. So New Zealand Rugby checked with World Rugby and they said, yep, you can still pick him because he was eligible, even though he wouldn't be eligible under 5-year residency just yet. So he's been in New Zealand a long time, but I don't think the clock started ticking until he got to a certain age. I forget how the rules work. But anyway, he's eligible and he's picked. I thought one of TJ or Brad would make it, but it's neither. I feel a bit sorry for Brad, but Christie's been in good form. Smith's the established guy, and Fakatava is the guy they want to cap and have a look at. Brodie and Mo'unga are kind of the 10s, with Stephen Perofeta being your debutant there. Playing at 10 or 15 for the Blues this year. Perofeta has been in amazing form. He's been having a really good year, so that's an absolute reward for some good form. As I mentioned, like the All Blacks don't always do that. They make you pay your dues for quite some time. But yeah, on form, he's been very good. He's one of the top point scorers, if not the top point scorer in Super Rugby. So it speaks to how he's been going. Midfield is still one of the bigger question marks, and where you've got one of your biggest changes: Havili, Goodhue, Rieko Ioane, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and Quinn Tupaia. RTS is the only newbie, and if you are not a Kiwi or an Aussie, you may not have heard of Roger, because he's only been playing Super Rugby this 1 year, but he was essentially one of the stars of the New Zealand Rugby League scene, and he's got a background in Union. He's been playing for the Blues this year, and he's kind of got massive expectations, which he initially was not meeting, of course, because people expected him to be just as good as he was at Rugby League. He's like 28 years old. He's been playing Rugby League for a long time. As you know, when he dropped into Union, he didn't have immediately the same impact, but he's been building. But I will still call that a fast-track pick. He's certainly been fast-tracked more than some other guys who are kind of made to pay their dues a bit more. He's got heaps of potential, for sure. 28 years old. His improvements have been incredible. If he can keep on tracking that well, he could do really, really well. But like I said, he's probably a bit of a fast-track pick because he's a big name, and he's going to put some bubs on seats and get people excited. Like, the only audible excitement from the people in attendance at the naming was when RTS was named. So, yeah, otherwise kind of steady as she goes. The All Blacks kind of need to work out, do they want to play a second playmaking guy at 12 like Havili, or do you want a big blockbusting ball carrier like Quinn Tupaia? Rieko seems to be the form 13, but Goodhue's only come back from injury towards the end of the season. ALB is injured, so he's not available until Leonard-Brown. So, yeah, it's going to be the most fascinating one for me for the All Blacks is how they line up the midfield. I forgot to mention with the Lucies, a couple of guys who were kind of left out. Luke Jacobson, he's not made it. Shannon Frizzell, who's not played that much this season, he's not made it as well. So, yeah, a wee bit of chopping and changing in that regard. The outside backs, Jordie Barrett, Caleb Clark, Lester Fainga'anuku, Will Jordan, and Sevu Reece. Another one of the ones that I'm pretty chuffed that's like a form-earned call-up is Lester Fainga'anuku. Like, he's been in consistently good form for a very long time now, including last season. So, he's they see him as a power winger. They're naming him in the outside backs rather than the midfield, but we've seen him certainly play in the midfield as well. Very chuffed for him to get a call up because, like I said, that's not a fast track. He's had to play week in, week out and really earn the respect of the selectors to finally get that pick. Will Jordan kind of goes without saying. Sevu Reece as well. So 3 Crusaders guys. Caleb Clark's back into the All Blacks after being out of the mix for a while. When he went to Sevens, he kind of came out of the mix a bit, but he's been in cracking form for the Blues. Currently injured, but I don't think it's a long-term one. And Jordie Barrett, Fozzie said in the selection post-selection interview that he still sees him as a fullback despite the fact that he has been playing in the midfield for the Hurricanes. So probably Jordie Barrett 15, Will Jordan, Caleb Clark maybe Sevu Reece. It's going to be hard to pick. But yeah, if Jordie's the key 15 guy, then that leaves Will Jordan essentially fighting it out for the wings. But we will have to wait and see. Other guys who maybe missed out, I mean, George Bridge, I think people have been calling his day as being numbered for the All Blacks for a wee while. That seems to maybe be the case. Mark Talia has been in good form for the Blues, but realistically, I didn't see him getting in personally. Damien McKenzie has been off in Japan, so realistically not eligible. They've only done it, I think, once with Matt Todd when he was in Japan. They picked him. It's pretty rare. They have to be desperate to pick a guy from overseas. Peter Umaga Jensen's also been pretty good this year. But with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck coming in, maybe he is kind of on the outer in that regard. Hodgman's been an All Black before in the props, but not good enough to get in, especially with the inclusion of Ross. Tom Robinson's another one. People love him for the Blues, but I don't think he's in the framework personally. Tom Christie for the Crusaders, been a tackling machine, but again, when we looked at him compared to Dalton and Sam Cane, He's kind of got an all-defensive game, realistically. Heaps of tackles, heaps of turnovers, but they probably want someone a bit more well-rounded against the Irish, I would imagine. Karifi, Rayasi, a couple of names, but yeah, not real wholesale changes. Halfback is the one area where you kind of see legit change with, Smith, TJ, and Brad Webber all kind of being early 30s, late 20s. We're seeing a bit of a switch to a bit younger, so Smith is the incumbent with the two younger guys behind him as well. But yeah, congratulations to the new caps. We also feel for the guys who didn't get picked, but yeah, you guys let me know what you reckon about the squad. How do you reckon these guys will line up against the Irish? From this, can you pick the All Blacks starting 15? You guys will have to let me know your thoughts. Do you chuck in some of the debutants, or do you leave them riding the pine to kind of work their way up? You guys let me know your thoughts, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.